The corporate cringe, it never seems to end. There's always a new batch of corporate cringe to react to really help us figure out corporate culture, how to adapt to it, how to make as much money as we can from these companies, and avoiding being part of the cringe. So let's start with this clip.
First hashtag, executive day. And this is what that looks like. Is this just a day where you simp for your boss? Wow, our boss came in. Oh man, you're treating your boss like a god. Your boss is just another person. Like we can see this guy here in the background seeing this for what it is. So just because you sit high up in an organization, just because you have power, just because you have authority, doesn't mean that you're a leader. If you get the culture right, most of the other stuff will take care of itself. What does this promote? Oh, boss is coming by. Let me get down on my hands and knees. Here's another post that
So this is a very interesting point, right? So typically if you work at a regional office, maybe if you work in London, but you're working for an American investment bank, then a big manager from New York comes down to visit you. There's a type of suck up culture and it can feel kind of awkward. And if you can see the guy who's in blue right now, who's on the left hand side, maybe you can see the guy in blue. Let me put my mouse there so you can see this guy here. You can see how disillusioned he looks. You can see the kind of look of disillusionment on a lot of these people's faces because they kind of have to suck up to their management even they know it's completely pointless. Then you've got people towards the center who are typically female employees who kind of think that they're, you know, doing the right thing by sucking up to management. And this is the type of culture you have. This maybe is more than I kind of thought originally, is a reflection of corporate culture. You have a lot of men on the left-hand side who can kind of see through all the BS. And you have a lot of women in the center who get the center of attention and think that sucking up to senior management is going to pay off. And it's a good move, even though sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, depending on how they feel about you. So typically, like I said, if you work at a regional office, you'll get a senior manager from another part of the world or part of the country who'll come and visit you. And your task in that, is it to talk to them about technical issues that you're working on, show them some of the work you have? No, the purpose is to suck up to these people, right? And this is what corporate culture is. It's not really about productivity and competency and meritocracy. It's all about this type of like hierarchy that's completely based on arbitrary kind of illusory rules, artificially propped up senior management, and your job is to suck up to them and make them feel important. And it's part of the whole corporate charade that everyone kind of knows is BS, but people still play along with it. And then the people who are more easily fooled by it, they tend to be a bit more invested in it without realizing. And it really makes you put work on hold, and then you've got to have to suck up to these people, and then you still have got your work left to do at the end of the day. And it's kind of ridiculous how you're you know, expected to spend some time out of your busy workday to suck up to management to help make them feel good, and then your work gets shafted and you might have to work a bit late to catch up for the hours, 2-3 hours you had to waste sucking up to middle management. And if you look in the background, it says teamwork makes the dream work. Some people are standing in front of it, but if you look at teamwork, where my mouse is now, it says teamwork makes the dream work. So that kind of aspect of culture and BS corporate sayings really are cringe, right? And then you have instances where, you know, clearly teamwork doesn't make the dream work. There are typically a handful of employees on that team who actually do most of the work, and everyone else kind of pretends to work or does the easy work. And what's interesting here, and if you're new to the channel, I have worked at some of these top companies here, Goldman's, Morgan Stanley, HSBC, so on, in investment banking and sales and trading and things like that. What's interesting actually here is that we would get these, I won't name the company, but we would get frequent visits from senior management, say from New York, and they would visit and they would have these regular meetings with each group of employees at different levels, at the junior analyst level, senior analyst, associate, vice president, executive director, managing director and things. They would have roundtables with the one senior contact from New York. And I was thinking, oh, he's going to ask technical questions, what work we've been working on, all these type of things. So I'd make a note of everything I'm working on before I go to the meeting so I could discuss that and have a bit of topics to talk about. But what I realized is this manager wasn't asking technical questions. He wasn't asking about work we're doing. He was asking social questions about what our hobbies were. But more important than that, he spent a lot of time asking about our political views. And I'm thinking this was, you know, 2018, 2019 time, 2017, 2018, 2019, right? Why was he asking about our view on whether we support Trump? given we're in the UK and this guy's a British person who's working in New York, whether we support Brexit or not, and what our view was on like gender equality or gender pronouns and things like this. Why was he asking all of these things? Because I realized at that point, the company and these companies, these big finance companies, you think they need hyper-skilled, hyper-intelligent people who can innovate and do technical coding and algorithmic trading and things like that. No, what they were doing was they were filtering on who would make the best fit for senior management on the basis of whether they agree with a political agenda. Because this whole establishment is not based on meritocracy or competency. There's elements of favoritism, nepotism, liberalism and feminism and all those things like that. But the whole woke agenda, even though people who are complete idiots might think that woke agenda comes from some kind of grassroots movement, it's not that. It's a globalist agenda. It's an ideologically driven hierarchy. Now, if you want to climb the hierarchy, yeah, you've got to be competent at your job to a point, but they want you to be completely ideologically aligned with that narrative. That Trump is bad, men are bad, Brexit is bad, globalism's good, nationalism's bad, everything that's far left is good, far right is bad, diversity, equality, inclusion, blah, 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 all these buzzwords, they want you to support that. And that's why he was asking us our views. And I realized one or two employees were super going over and above and beyond, who I know kind of well. They don't seem to be too politically interested. Oh, they really hated Brexit. Brexit's really bad. Trump is bad or whatever. And I'm thinking, hold on. I mean, this is very disillusioning for me or maybe other people like you, you know. Particularly I come from an Asian background. We think, you know, if you study hard, you work hard, you get good results. But it became a completely ideologically based thing. I remember having a Christmas party around the time and the whole discussion was around senior management. They all have to agree with each other that, you know, Brexit's bad. Whatever left-wing political view was the view you had to take extremely strongly. You know, the whole climate agenda, the ESG thing. And I see this company, without naming the specific investment bank, they're really pushing forward with this ESG net zero carbon agenda. That's what I mean. These places are not places where it's about the work you're doing. It's about the agenda being pushed. You know, whether it's M2 or the feminist agenda, the climate agenda, the rainbow flag agenda, that's what they want you to align with. And in many cases, without being too specific, that person, that senior management contact from New York, who was British, who was asking us all these questions, he was from the rainbow flag community, right? And he had those beliefs quite strongly. And he actually he didn't agree with that, right? And I noticed what was the pattern in layoffs, and it could have been a coincidence, but a lot of the people who were laid off were people who may have been, you know, more inclined to have right-wing beliefs compared to left-wing beliefs. And it became very apparent to me that's the agenda. You know, it could be a coincidence in that instance, but some of these things happen too common for you to not realize that the whole game is playing this suck-up culture and being ideologically aligned with the left to succeed, and not about being competent. So there's another reason why you shouldn't work hard at your day job.
I'd like to show you. Positive post incoming! As of today, I've been promoted from senior to principal consultant. Despite the strain of the pandemic, this has been my third consecutive promotion in 18 months. People out here struggling, people out here just trying to find a job, people out here just trying to put food on the table, and this man's like, hey everybody, I just got my third promotion.
So this is kind of interesting, right? And why am I focusing on this specific example here? This is someone mentioning that, you know, as of today, they've been promoted. They're saying, as of today, I've been promoted from senior to principal consultant. They've got 3 promotions in the last 18 months. They're saying thank you to the company and so on, right? A lot of these things, these humble brag posts, they might seem cringe to me, cringe to you. But on the LinkedIn platform, in corporate culture, this is valued as, you know, being a good thing, always bragging about what you're doing. You're super busy, you got a promotion, you achieved this, you achieved that, but you're so humble and so grateful for the opportunity. That's the type of rhetoric that really does well. You'd be surprised. And we're going to come through with a few examples. You're going to see how different posts perform on LinkedIn and help you go viral or your profile be noticed by even recruiters and managers on basis on how much you suck up and play along with this game, even if it seems quite obviously like a cringe post to say that you've been promoted 3 times during the lockdowns and things like that. So let's go to the next clip.
found a post on LinkedIn where they are awarding someone for never saying no. Let's congratulate our Employee of the Month for January, the guy who doesn't like using the word no in anything for the team, always ready to adapt and learn. This is not something that should be celebrated. You should put your foot down, you should say no. You shouldn't be like, well, I'm always ready, I'm willing to do anything you need for whatever you want, because this is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a paper award, Employee of the Month. Congratulations, they're just gonna reward you with more overtime and more paper awards if they know that you get excited over this shit.
So if we just take a look at this a bit carefully, right? So we've got someone who's the Employee of the Month because they never say no, they always do extra work for the team. This kind of humble, naive culture, typically things you'd see in the outsourcing, low-cost locations. I'm ethnically from India, and this looks like it is in India or one of those countries nearby. It's like this hard work culture, it kind of makes sense from a certain aspect, but a lot of it is kind of exploitative, as you can see here, right? Like, he's probably being dumped with all this extra work. You know, you don't want to be a corporate simp. You don't want to be a company simp and just be doing all this extra work thinking, you know, oh, you're getting the admiration of your co-workers. You're just burning yourself out for nothing. Rather have some level of boundaries in the work you're doing. Be able to say no, otherwise you're going to be exploited by setting those clear boundaries. And you can see this paper certificate. It's no different from something a school student would get, a college student might get. And all you get is this kind of paper, and you'd rather prefer paper money instead of this paper certificate, right? And this is how pointless and this is how childish they treat you in any corporate environment. They think you're going to be impressed by that. And that's why a lot of the corporate indoctrination really goes back to school indoctrination. When you'd get a certificate, you'd get a star for good performance, some kind of sticker, things like that. They try to apply it in the corporate world because they think you're still operating by those childish rules, even though you're just there for the money, right? So let's look through some more examples and see what we can learn from this.
Straight up say hashtag Saturday event. Imagine advertising your company on LinkedIn and about how great your culture is and how great your teamwork is, and then hashtag Saturday event. Nobody wants to come into work on Saturday. This isn't a good thing to advertise. Look at us, we're having work events on Saturday. It's optional, but it's really not. If you don't come, you'll never get promoted or a raise ever again. This is
So firstly, you might notice that challenges is misspelt at the bottom, right? Other things would be, you know, having a Saturday event. You got to look for all these red flags when you're looking to work for a company, right? And I always do this. If I'm interviewing for a company, I really try to gauge the culture as quick as possible. Is it a culture where they want you in at 7 a.m. and leaving at 6 p.m.? Do they want you in the office all the time? Can you work from home? What's really the dynamics going on here? And that's what you really need to pick up on. If you go on a company's LinkedIn profile and you're going to be interviewing there and they're talking about Saturday events, team building on the weekends, these things are really excessive time wastes, and if you think you're going to be expected to do this, you should maybe, depending on how desperately you need the job, maybe early on in the interview process, just say, oh, just so I understand, what are the rough work hours? Does it offer any remote work availability? Are we working Monday to Friday? Things like that. And if they start suggesting, oh, well, we do a bit of work on the weekend, blah, 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 that's a red. Pick up on those as early as you can. You can, you know, ask these in a nice way and not react to it emotionally, but pick up on as many signals as you can early on. Does it come across like the other employees aren't too happy? Are they stressed out? Does it seem like the pay isn't doing too well? You can check all this information on LinkedIn, Glassdoor. Do a little bit of research when you are looking for your next job by looking online. If they have Saturday events like this, are you going to be required to go to them, or is it optional? Or is it kind of implied that it's optional but it's kind of mandatory? So you've got to be aware of all these type of situations, right? Look out for those red flags. Same things with rhetoric like, we are one big happy family at work. You know, any requirements for unpaid work, working extra hours in the evening, as I say, on the weekend. What are the boundaries of free time? Do you have these type of Saturday events where you have mandatory or forced socialization? As I say, you could do that research online and when you're in the company for interviews early on. There's two other funny posts I want to show you to understand LinkedIn culture and how you can adapt to really, you know, leverage it to your advantage. So you got an example where someone says, I failed at 9 startups, I got fired from 2 companies, I quit 3 jobs without notice, I failed out of college, lost it all in a bad investment, the memories don't fade, I think of them daily, that's how I learned. Now I can raise millions and scale globally and have 4 kids and my wife. I hope my kids fail too. Now you can see right at the very bottom, it has about 10,000 reactions and 683 comments. Now, this is a completely cringe post, but it performs well on LinkedIn, right? This is how you go viral on LinkedIn. 10,000 likes or 10,000 reactions and 680 comments. This does well than some of the other posts I'll show you in a second, right? Because people want this type of fake corporate culture that exists in the office to be leveraged online, right? Now, if you go here, you can see Geraldine, who's giving you some useful advice, only has 16 likes. Don't mistake the person doing the talking in the meeting as the person who is doing the work. Some people present themselves well, others work hard. Now, the sad truth is, right, you know, this is really good advice, but it's the unspoken rule for the corporate world. You know, you got to speak up in the meetings, even if you don't know what you're doing and you're doing a trash job. The person who speaks up in meetings tends to get promoted and get a good perception from management, right? It's the fake, what you see here is the fake hustle, the fake grind culture is considered good versus honest, good career advice we can see from Geraldine here, right? And corporate or LinkedIn culture is a reflection of corporate culture, and it's really a reflection of the fake collapsing corporate America or really Western civilization. Everything's about grand posturing, you know, this kind of pandering to certain sacrificial beliefs, equality, working hard for no reason, being a slave, a corporate simp, being a slave to corporate culture. It's this upside down culture you see throughout the West, and this really is a symptom of it, right? It might seem like a small cringe post, but it shows you how you have to appeal to those upside down rules of playing the victim, saying you overcome these challenges. And, you know, I really question this story and how much it's true, what's really going on. I'm sure there were some missing details there. You know, is he a rich kid who's got contacts to give them millions to start a business? What's going on here? But this will help you understand LinkedIn culture. That's all what I'm trying to do with all these examples, right? And understand corporate culture. So in Geraldine's example here, right, presenting well, speaking up during meetings is way more important than actually working hard. And it's true, but it's not given as good advice, as I say. You know, what I would say is if you are in a corporate environment, Geraldine's making a good point. What you should do is kind of follow that in a sense, you know, do less work and talk more in meetings, because the person who's talking more in meetings is going to get more visibility and those promotions quicker than the person who's doing all the work and being quiet, right? That's how you get visibility, that's how you get promoted. And the truth is the person who works hard doesn't succeed. And that's part of my many videos you've seen about telling you not to work hard in the corporate environment. Of course, you've got to get your job done, but if you work hard, you'll be exploited. That's why it's best to figure out what level of work you can get away with doing and not doing. Now, if you are new to the channel, I've worked through some of these companies for over 10 years in the finance industry, Goldman's, Morgan Stanley, and so on. And I offer a career advice, and there's a link in description. If you want to speak with me directly, I'll give you some honest career advice about navigating that corporate cringe environment. Thanks for listening. Leave a comment below with anything that you learned from this video. And there are 2 recommended videos on the screen right now, and I'll see you next time.